Hey guys, Joey's Tarot here. We're going to be looking at this transit, this eclipse, and how it affects you in your house according to your rising Lagna sign, as well as your moon sign, how you'll navigate through this mentally. We'll also be using the Prisma Light Visions Tarot deck, and we are going to see how you navigate these transits. This is going to be a transit guided by K2. It's going to be Moon, Sun, Venus, and K2. K2's been in the sign longest, but who's really controlling this eclipse? If you really look across the street, it's Rahu. So these are about the things that you want to let go. These are going to be in the nakshatra of Swati, so it's about gaining independence. Swati is a Rahu-ruled nakshatra, so it's about the things that you want to get to, and you may have to release things. Now, K2 is not a bad planet. It's not an evil planet, although it's missing its senses. It's missing its vision. It's missing its taste, it's missing a mouth, it's missing its ears, so it does cause us to make mistakes. But it's also very spiritual, and Swati being about releasing something or losing something that you really want, and you just can't get that thing back. I think these are going to be major eclipses for a lot of you. Recently I've gone really into researching about eclipses and how they've affected certain people. One being on the Netflix series that everybody's going crazy over, that Jeffrey Dahmer. He had an eclipse in Aries that was right over his Venus Atmakarka in the 8th house. It was right over it. And, you know, we have something similar happening where the sun is combusting Venus. Venus is at the heart of the sun during this eclipse. Is that bad? No, because Venus is excelled in Libra. She's great condition in Libra, although combusted. The sun is also debilitated in Libra. So they call this a Kazemi in tropical astrology when I used to study tropical astrology. But, you know, we don't have these things in Vedic, obviously. But it's still the same sense of that the things you love, the things that you want to establish connection to, you might have to let those things go this transit. And we're going to go and see each sign, what those things are, and how to guide that. I recommend you check your rising Lagna sign for how this will physically manifest. And I recommend you check your moon sign for how you will mentally navigate these things. You may see that nighttime charts, you know, I still think sometimes nighttime charts will resonate with their moon. You know, that's kind of like the tropical rule, but, you know, let's keep an open mind here, but I do feel like that the moon sign is going to be how this will affect you the most, really, because, you know, Vedic, children of the moon. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started here, starting with the sign of Aries. Hi, you're going to have this eclipse affect your 7th house. This is going to affect anger. This is going to trigger a lot of things, and especially you being a fire sign, you need to watch out for things like ego. This is going to affect business relationships, and, you know, like I said earlier in this video, K2 isn't always a bad thing. It's going to be more about finding that independence in you and realizing that relationships can also be viewed as material things, and sometimes we let go of material things. We lose things. We lose our keys. We lose our wallet, and you know, you may lose those business relationships. You may lose an actual relationship, or something may change for you here. That's really hard to kind of come by. Now, if your relationship is okay and everything, I don't think you're going to lose that so much as that maybe there's things that you have to kind of pay attention to that, you know, don't cause you for the next part of next year to maybe lose that relationship because you weren't doing something, or you were just, you know, not really doing your part in the relationship, that type thing. So let's go ahead and pull 3 tarot cards for you, Aries, and let's see how this eclipse will affect you in the 7th house of Libra for you. That seems like it wanted to come out. The World card, that is definitely endings, and that is Saturn. Saturn is definitely going direct on the 23rd. It should already be going direct by the time you guys watch this video. The World card with the 10 of Wands and the 9 of Pentacles. This is definitely releasing some sort of relationship that's gone on for a while, or something that you've been wanting to release for a while. This is definitely your chance to release that. The World card talks about an ending of a cycle. With the 10 of Wands next to it, is telling me that, you're on the brink of releasing that, because now you have the 9. It's not fully there yet. If it was a 10, and the World card would kind of be like a trump card here. It would be like, this is the end of a major cycle for you. This could just be the end of a major relationship that you want to end. If you're not wanting to end a relationship, this could just be trying to make some personal time for you, some independent time, and that will connect you to the spiritual things that you need to connect to, because this is definitely a card of spirituality here. Although it's earth and it's material, they are definitely in the vibes of being on their own, divine feminine, that type thing. Definitely connecting to it in a way where you're not looking at people like property. And it's definitely not about forcing things, and it's definitely not about pushing your ego on people now too, or you deserve this and you deserve that. Just know the things you do deserve with the 9 of Pentacles just kind of come to you automatically. Look at the 9 of Pentacles art on the original tarot deck. You'll see that there's a glove and there's a bird that she's calling to her hand. She can just call that bird to her hand. And those things do come to you. New things will come to you. You got to be careful too, because, any sort of risk that you take now too with business, that type stuff, it's kind of like, it may be risky, but then realize Mars is going to retrograde back into Taurus. That being your first house lord, Saturn's going to be putting pressure on Mars from that space when it goes back into Taurus, and it'll be back in control, saying, well, what you screwed up there, now you got to pay for. So be careful with that risks that you're taking, especially with risks with old things coming back. Just notice that, K2 talks about karmic things. It also talks about past things coming back, right? So those things that do come back, you're going to be faced. You're going to be faced with either ending that forever. You're going to be faced with either or just trying to come to terms and come to a business deal with whatever is coming back towards you. So I'd be careful with that. And any wrong decision you make now, just realize when Mars goes back, Saturn's going to be kind of there, giving the consequences out and handing that out to you. So be careful with that, especially if you have people from a past, love relationship coming back as well. It could probably not be the best, but I think you should leave that up to your judgment. And especially anything that comes back, or new things, new people coming into your life that want relationships now, those are definitely tied to past life things. Taurus, this will be affecting your 6th house. This is going to be affecting workplace vibes. Definitely feeling the workplace vibes here. Some of you will have an enemy reach out to you or just expose himself here with this eclipse. You're going to have to deal with that, and health concerns as well. Driving safely is going to be a thing. Respect all road rules. That's going to be a big factor. As well as being careful with credit cards and expenses through this time till about April next year. I would be very careful with how you spend. As well as, going back onto the thing about enemies, realize that these could be enemies coming back from a past life, because this is K2, so this is like things about the past, and realize that the people you dealing with at work that are putting pressure on you or demanding things of you, or that just outright show their skin off to be, not so much of a good person, they're definitely coming back for some past life karma. And I think the main thing you should carry off with this eclipse, and K2 being there in charge there of what's going on here, is being humble, coming from a spiritual place, being humble and not allowing that to, get you angry. Mars is out of your house for a little bit while this is going on, but it is going to retrograde back into your sign until April of next year. So, I definitely take it easy with that. And right now, anything you do with like animals, taking care of animals, taking care of elderly, that type thing, those are going to be very good things for you. They're also going to give you some sort of protection and help boost how this eclipse is going to overall transform your life. As well as with health, this doesn't necessarily mean bad things in health. This could be that you're just changing your diet routine. This could just mean that you're changing a gym routine. It could just mean that maybe you experienced an injury when you started a workout routine, and that's kind of like discouraging you from working out. And I don't think you should be discouraged. I think you should just kind of take it like, well, I'm a martial artist here in Japan, so when I experience injuries, like I just had the wrist injury, you guys would see that in my last video. I had a wrap here. It didn't stop me from going to martial arts. I was just taking care of my hand, right? So it pushed me to go further and harder than I would have gone before. And no, I don't have any Taurus placements, but Venus is my Makarka. So let's get started here with the tarot. Let's see what you can look forward to with changes here and what you need to know to transit through this. I think the best thing for you is going to just be doing checks and balances with the people at your work, checks and balances with your vehicle, checks and balances with your credit card, especially because Saturn is definitely going to be aspecting that financial aspect in your life, and it's starting to go direct by the time that you get this video here. Now, what that means is you may be too afraid to check that bank account, and I think you need to check the bank account. I think you need to check that your bills are paid. I think you need to check. Checks and balances is what's going to make this transit the easiest thing for you, especially health. If you have any health concerns, I would check with the doctor, not your tarot card reader, not your astrologist, okay? All right, so let's see, Taurus. Let's pull your 3. You had that one that just wanted to come out. 2 of Wands, 9 of Chalices, and the Death card. Two of Wands talks about decisions, but with the 9 of Chalices, this is about a wish come true. And with the Death card, it's about transformation. So, 2 is also second house matters, Taurus. So it's about creating some sort of change for you through a decision. And, it's about the wish come true coming through your hands and realizing that this eclipse isn't going to destroy your wish that you want to come true. It's not going to go ahead and bring it either, though. And I think it's about connecting to things spiritually more so in the arena of that, you have to work for those dreams. By the time that, this isn't the Tavern Keep card, but this is definitely a different person that's worked a lot, and they're just kind of enjoying their wish fulfillment here because they've worked so hard, so they're just sitting on that park bench there. And with the Death card, it's talking about some sort of transformation. Now, this could be transformation because I said he was working hard, so you may have to work hard. You may be dealing with bosses, supervisors. You may be dealing with all that sort of stuff and thinking you're not getting any sort of wish fulfillment with that. It's not about the wish fulfillment so much as the transformation that happens towards the beginning of next year for you. So I would keep on with whatever you're doing here and don't give up. And especially if this is a workout routine, 2 of Wands is definitely a workout card for me because it's Wands and it's about creation and it's about, deciding the factor that I'm going to stick to a low-carb diet. I'm going to stick to keto. I'm going to stick to whatever works for you. And I think the thing with 2 of Wands, too, it's about sticking with the things that you're comfortable with, If you're not comfortable cutting off all carbs, you don't have to diet healthily. You just have to count your carbs. You have to count your, I'm not a dietitian, right? But it's definitely about making the wise decision here to get to that goal and transform. Definitely body transformation vibes for you too. Wow. Other than that, Taurus, that's all I got for you with this eclipse. Remember to be kind to elderly and be kind to animals. That's going to go ahead and bring you some sort of hidden blessing there. So take it easy, Taurus. Gemini, 5th house will be affected for you with this solar eclipse. 5th house to me is the house of your past life deeds, the things you've done in your past life. And whether they be good or bad, you are going to see reliefs in certain aspects of your life when it comes to relationships. Or this actually may be a troubling, turbulent time for you. You know, depending on what you've done there, as well as what you've been doing in this life. Have you been paying off that credit card of karma off? Or have you been kind of like running up the charges on there? Because then you may not see that sort of aspect flourish in your life here. As well as fifth house affects children. You know, you may encounter problems with children in their school, their learning. If you're definitely not trying to pop kids out, definitely be careful with the children department. Wrap it. If you slap it, wrap it. Especially if you're not trying to have children there. For some of you that are trying to have children that aren't having some success, you may see some sort of success come to you now, actually. That may be a good thing for you. You know, and I think about fifth house too is like learning what you're trying to learn here. If you're trying to get some sort of spiritual learning at this time, that's going to be very healthy, very positive for you as well. Because this is a past life deeds thing, but it's also more about trying to correct what's going on in this life. Why else would you look in the fifth house at your past life deeds in this life? Well, because you're obviously concerned about correcting those actions. You're concerned that you want to correct that into this life, and it's about doing, right? So it's about doing certain things in this during this eclipse. After that is where you will see the great transformation in you. And you know, opposed to you, you know, would be the Sag sign, where they're dealing with certain things about, you know, not trusting people. They're dealing with the financial things, and it's a lot. They're actually, Sag is actually going through a Sadi, so, you know, you have Saturn opposing your sign, and you have that about to transit out into Aquarius and giving Sag the relief. And I know this isn't the Sag read, but look at what they're going through. They may have to experience some sort of solitude or going alone with the planet, where you may see that sort of relief come into your life, where you have a person come into your life to give you the help that you need through this transit. Let's pull 3 cards for what you need to know moving through with this transit. And so, yeah, just keep in mind, you know, the other signs probably going to have it worse than you, but then again, that's what you've been doing in this life. And it's what you did in that past life. Okay? Now let's see here. 3 cards for you. 2 of Chalices, 8 of Chalices, and 6 of Pentacles. You know, and I just heard with my intuition, some of you are expecting something to come back and balance itself out. 2 of Pentacles talks to me about healing a certain relationship you have in your mind. You may be coming to this channel thinking, you know, you're going to get the relationship read, or, you know, that you want the relationship to kind of come back and heal here. You know, but I think emotionally, it's about walking away from things, because maybe in a past life you weren't allowed to walk away from things. Aha! You know, and it's about bringing balance too. It's about bringing balance with somebody that's going to bring you back something too. You know, it's about the 50-50 with this card, the 6 of Pentacles. This is a Saturn card too. Remember, we were talking about Saturn opposing your sign. You know, and it's affecting, you know, your across the street neighbor, Sag, in the Sadi. They're going back into that Sadi phase. And they've been going back through it ever since Saturn started going into Capricorn, and now it's going into Aquarius. And so by next year, that'll be over. The opposition will be over for you. But, you know, is it an opposition of wanting to bring things back, or is this, you know, you realizing that you need to let go? And it's really time to walk away emotionally. And for some of you, like I said, this is about somebody. Like, I'm just hearing this, and it's funny because I'm trying to connect less to that sounds so bad. I'm trying to do less of the whole like intuitive read here and trying to do more of the focusing on the transits, and that's why I'm only pulling 3 cards for you guys. But I am seeing that some of you are going to have a person reach out to you, will receive some support through the side of a person, okay? And that is going to come through to kind of save the day here for you. And I'm hearing that song from Ghostbusters, saving the day. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, you may have somebody come and save the day, or this just may be like children, you know, coming to help you as well, because these are going to be 5th house matters. If you're having turbulent times with children and that type thing, you know, this may be a time where you find that balance. Cancer, fourth house. This is going to be affecting you. And, Mars is sitting over in your 12th house of Gemini right now. It's going to be sitting there for a while. And then it's going to retrograde back into Taurus. And, but when Mars is in your 12th house, you may be experiencing some sort of anxieties, that type thing. And with the eclipse, what K2 is trying to teach you here is that thing you want, Cancer, and I know what you want, the thing that you want, there's one thing you really, really want, and you can't attain it, no matter how much you try. Jupiter is aspecting your sign retrograded right now, so it will be offering you some support. Jupiter is protecting you, Cancer. From what? I don't know. That thing you want so much, it's just not coming. And I hate to be that person to deliver that news. I really do. And I think that K2 is teaching you that spirituality of letting go. K2's not here to be... I hate how we put names on planets like benefic and malefic, because the planets can act however they want. They can expand, like Jupiter. They can expand a problem for you. They can destroy a problem for you as well, too. I don't think they mean to do it. I think it's just the cycles of life and how they affect you in your transits, right? A retrograded Saturn can bring you too much of good things, and you may not realize that those good things are actually beneficial to you at this time, because you're too focused on the one thing that you do want. And I think with K2, because it's in the order of strength here for this eclipse, is trying to teach you to let go. And this is the Swati Nakshatra. So many people that reach out to me with this Nakshatra have one person that got away from them. It may not be a person. It may be a physical item. It may be something that you really want, a trip, whatever that be, a home, a move, but it's just not coming into fulfillment. I think it's best to let it go at this time. We're going to pull 3 cards for you, Cancerian. And just realize that Jupiter retrograde is helping you and it is bringing you things, but it's not bringing you that thing. Also, concerns with mother. The relationship with the mother will change. Mother's health is also a concern for some of you. And there will be positive news with that. You had 2 cards fall out with the Sun. Knight of Wands, King of Swords, and the Sun. This eclipse is teaching you something. Now, Knight of Wands is a quester. He quests for the things he wants, and he goes one way and he goes back one way. What I'm hearing is, whatever you were manifesting at the beginning of the year, you instantly regret it here, and that turned you cold here. Now, the good news is that original manifestation that you had was the correct thing, and that's what Jupiter's protecting you from. That's why it's giving you all the things that you don't want. Because you're too stuck, you're too tunnel vision on the one thing you do want. What's happening here is you're being forced to cut things, as well as maybe things are cutting you out. At the end of this transit, though, there is the Sun. And Cancer, you're known for being the cleansing waters, those spiritual waters. Here it is with the Sun, purifying. And the Sun is debilitated in Libra here. So doing things like maybe offering water to the Sun, early morning hours, that type thing. Those Cancerian purifying waters to continue on with that original manifestation that you had at the beginning of the year. They came with the sacrifice. And I was talking about it in tropical astrology before I made the switch, that Neptune and Pisces with Jupiter, instead of bringing these benefic things, it was talking more about a sacrifice to attain something new. And you've had that make that sacrifice, but now with Mars in your 12th house, you're really feeling the pain there with this eclipse. But what K2 is teaching you is to finally let go of it and that happiness will come your way. Leo, this eclipse will be affecting your third house. This is a no fear, no gain situation for you. I could go out all right and try to scare the hell out of you with what I have to say about what's going on in this eclipse, but I'm going to make your sign the shortest because, you know what? Before I made the switch to Vedic, oh, trust me, you know, I'm still a Leo at heart in tropical astrology, right? But, oh, do I know about fear, you know, and you're going to deal with things that are going to go ahead and scare you. This is also going to be a transit that kind of brings out your ego, and you should definitely not deal with this transit with anger. You're the fire sign, so Aries, Sag, Leo. This is going to be, all the fire signs have to deal with ego and anger through this eclipse. And it's realizing, you know, how does that work though? You know, because how do you deal with the ego and the anger? And especially when fear is coming your way, right? It's kind of bringing up the image of that, the Dark Knight Rises movie, where he's trying to climb out of this dark hole, right? And the old man's telling him, you know, how will you deal with this situation if you don't rise, but rise and climb with that first feeling that you had that got you as far, and that's fear. So fear is coming to you for a reason here, because it's gonna make you realize that the losses, the things that you've lost, the things that have changed for you, you know, you're gonna have to proceed. Whether it's changing schools as well, because it's across the street from the 9th house in Aquarius, you know. And Saturn is about to go in there next, you know, it's around April next year, I believe. Don't take my word for that. But I feel like when it goes into the sign of Aquarius there for you, there may be things and topics about learning and education for you. And that may require like leaving a job situation now, or maybe taking a move. As well as car, no speeding, respect rules, be careful with road rage, that type thing. Dealing with your car, also maintenance. If before you take any small trips, make sure you do any maintenance on your vehicle and that type thing, okay? Let's pull 3 tarot cards. Especially for Leo moon sign, this is definitely going to put your mind in that fear zone. Because this eclipse is happening in the sign of Libra and Swati. And if there's anything, the Leo is afraid of his loss. But K2 is not a bad planet, although it makes us do stupid things sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's not stupidity. It's more of a... It's a dragon tail, right? It doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have ears. It doesn't have a mouth to speak with. And you may find yourself in that. And that may be kind of fearful. And I think what it's teaching you to do is to guide this transit with your heart. And open that heart chakra. And deal with this without getting angry and without that ego getting in the way. That's how you transit with this, especially for Leo moons, okay? 2 of Chalices. Everybody keeps getting these cards. I just shuffled these 3 times, and you get the same cards as, I believe this was Gemini. Gemini got these 3 same cards, and I shuffled this already through the Cancer reading, so, you know, whatever, we'll take them, you know. 2 of Cups, 8 of Chalices, and the 6 of Pentacles. Oh, I see you. I see what you're afraid of. You're afraid of losing this person forever. But you're going to have to be brave. This is a water card, but to me it looks like a fire card, doesn't it? Because those emotions are fire. And you're taking a step, and you're realizing that you're going to have to take a step to the things that are balanced. And we did mention Saturn. Saturn's going station. It should be stationed by the time you guys see this video uploaded. And it's going to be going into Aquarius, and it's about bringing balance, and it's about finishing some school for some of you. Especially for Leo moon, going back to school is going to be a major topic for you all of next year. Education, or finding a teacher, or the blessing of your guru. But yeah, this is definitely releasing fear and realizing that you do have to be brave. And for some of you, like I'm hearing, this also may be kind of like a divorce thing for you. And K2's just trying to show you that, because it's over doesn't mean you have to be afraid, that you can walk through the fire here, although it's water, Don't be afraid of the fire. It's actually water, right? Why do you want to stay connected to something that's not spiritually progressing you in your path in any way? And, spiritual progression doesn't mean that you don't have a home, you don't have a car, and you don't pay your bills. You have to do all that. Oh, and then the thing about the monk that, leaves his family to go start, they eventually got to start another family because they have a mouse problem and they get a cat, but then they got to feed the cat. So they have to get a cow. And then they get a cow, but they need somebody to take care of the cow. And then they needed a farm, so that they get a new wife. And then the wife is too overworked, so they have a child. That's your answer. Letting go of all the BS that chains you down now. That is going to be your way out of this for Leo Moon, Leo Rising. Virgo, this eclipse will be happening in your second house. Letting go completely of something here, especially if you're Virgo Moon. Just realize you're going to have to let go of something completely here. And me telling you this and talking on the microphone and saying, hey, you got to let go of something, you actually might be like, yes, that is what I want to do. Let go of this completely. I want it done. All right. Be careful though, because your earth sign, the earth and the water signs mainly have to be careful thinking they've completed a task, a karmic task, when they really haven't. It may actually come back in your face next year after this eclipse. This eclipse is trying to show you something and kind of trick you into something here though. Be careful with that, because K2, like I've been telling the other signs, doesn't have eyes, doesn't have ears, doesn't have a mouth, doesn't have senses. Can't smell. It can't smell fear. It can't smell danger. It can't smell. It's dumb in a sense, but it's not dumb. And it's leading you to something spiritual as well. So whatever this is that you want to release, just realize these are topics that are going to come up again, especially with the lunar eclipse. You may have these topics kind of come up. And the lunar eclipse is not too far off from this solar eclipse. Whatever you release, though, it should give you some sort of relief. So if you're already in that mode of, I want to release this relationship, I want to release this job, I want to release this car payment, I want to release this debt, just realize, or, actually food, because this will be affecting, the alimentary system here for you. Alimentary is basically your mouth, your teeth, your tongue, throat, stomach, and all the way down to your buttocks, right? This is the alimentary system. It'll be affecting all of that for the Virgo here. So you may want to give up some sort of bad habits, some sort of bad food that you've been eating, that type of thing. Yeah, and I know personal Virgo moon, and they're just all about releasing everything and more about spending time with their friends, And depending on like Mahadashas and things like you're going through that, if you have any Mercury prominent things, you may have a friend enter your life at this time that you're actually really, really close to. That may be a thing too with the eclipse, especially if you don't have friends now. There will be a friendship that kind of enters your life here. Some of you may have got that pre-eclipse, but that's also going to be like on the transit and how that affects your personal chart and your D1 Rashi. All right, so let's go ahead and pull 3 cards here for this transit for you, Virgo, how you navigate through that, especially if you're Virgo moon. I think you already know how to navigate through this, honestly. I don't think you need 3 tarot cards. We should just move on to Libra. But Mercury being in your first house is going to give you some sort of decisive action. It's going to give you the things that you need, the tools that you need. So definitely if you're feeling that I need to let this go vibe, you're probably on the right page here with that, okay? And once again, this eclipse will be happening in the Swati Nakshatra, so it is about losing something, but just be aware that you're not getting rid of something that you may kind of want back later on, because it is the Swati Nakshatra. And oh boy, how many clients do I have reach out to me that I can secretly, because I don't do charts anymore, I just do the tarot, but I do get your birth info. So when I'm looking at your charts, I'll see things like somebody with a Venus or a Jupiter or some prominent planet sitting in the Swati Nakshatra, in a prominent house dealing with relationships, for example. And it makes sense. Or the Lord, the 7th house Lord sitting there. And it makes sense. Or their career. There may be that one career, that one thing that you did want and you never got it. So be careful you're not releasing the thing that you do want later. Okay? Judgment. 8 of chalices, 2 of chalices. Why do these cards keep coming out? And I've shuffled this so many times, but 2 of chalices and 8 of chalices. Judgment. Be careful you're not walking backwards here. That's basically just saying what you judged over and you deemed completely over, you're walking through this fire. And this is a water card. It is the 8 of cups. It's emotionally walking away from something. Whatever you deemed over here, just realize that there is some sort of karmic thing that you've paid off here with that. That's probably why you want to cut off already. I think this is kind of like what they say, the karma has been served with this situation. That's why you're ready to cut it off. Just be careful that you're not in that mode of cutting too many things out of your life here, and that this is the one thing that gets away from you. Okay, so be careful with that. But I do think overall it is going to be positive and you will make the correct decision what you're feeling. Okay, Virgo? And so, yeah, and then one more thing about this for, You see, because I'm trying to make these reads simple, but I have my intuition screaming about me. And that is something I can't silence. Some of you that want the past thing back, it's coming back. But be aware during this time, if the past thing comes back, it may just be that it's stuff that with karma that hasn't been served yet. And that needs to be dealt with. And you have to deal with that head on. You may not want to deal with it, but you have to deal with it. Libra, this eclipse will be affecting your first house. I get the image of cleaning house, okay? Anything in the first house, we're cleaning house here. You're definitely cleaning things out of your life. You're going to be the most impacted. This is going to be happening mostly in your mind, whether you're Libra moon sign, whether you're Libra rising, Lagna. This is about letting go of a mental block, cleaning out your mental space. Oh boy. This is going to be troubling for you. This is going to be troubling in so many ways for you. I'm going to have to coach you through this one, Libra. You're going to be one of the special signs that get kind of a longer segment here. Yeah, because it is happening in your first house. And if it's from your moon sign and we put your moon, that's how I look at the moon, what it's doing. I'll put it in the first house and I'll look at it, how it's affecting your thinking. So I know this is going to be the most impactful for you. I think what you need to take away from this is not that, because I will tell you next year you will see some sort of relief from this, and whether your moon is like debilitated or whatever, depressed or, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. What's happening here is that you are going to take some sort of challenge here. You have to apply yourself here. You have to do whatever it takes to win here. And mentally, that's going to be hell on you. But I do feel like, not remembering past situations, not remembering the past bad things that people have done to you, not remembering past situations that were good, nostalgic, watching life through rose-tinted glasses, I think that's over for you. And, there's a planet, the most excelled planet in your sign is Saturn. So definitely take the lesson from Saturn of being cold here, but applying yourself to win, taking that challenge. And, Saturn is an all-out, in-your-face type of planet, right? That's why it doesn't do too well in Leo, because it gets recognition and it doesn't want recognition there, okay? Some of you may be in that space of not wanting recognition when you succeed, but it just comes to you with success. This is going to be some sort of mental block. How you guide that, especially if you're Libra moon, is by not thinking negative, not thinking, oh, why is it always me? Why is this all this bad stuff happening to me? It doesn't happen to my friends. Oh, and definitely looking at your friends and what's happening in their life, this is definitely not the transit to do that. All right. Let's pull 3 cards for you. How you'll deal with this turbulent time, you know. But after next year, like I said, where you applied yourself, you're going to notice the victory regardless. World card, yes. I love that. Oh, and Ace of Chalice is behind that. Ace of Chalice is definitely an emotional beginning, and the moon is right there with that. Did I catch it? I didn't catch it. It hit the floor. We won't take that card then. Ace of Chalices, the world. 9 of Chalices. It's going to be very turbulent for you. You know, Ace of Chalices is my tears card. There may be tears shed during this transit. All through the rest of this year, you may be going through it. Closing a cycle out. But guess what? At the end, after all that work, like I've said, you know, 9 of Chalices, go Google what 9 of Chalices is. I don't have to tell you. You don't have to take my word for it. I know you guys don't believe me when I say you got a wish coming true, but the wish is coming true for you. The wish is coming true to you because you create it. You create it and you unblock yourself mentally from whatever that was. And you realize when you apply yourself, this is a lesson that K2 is teaching you. When you apply yourself and you don't say, woe is me, and feel sorry for yourself all the time, you will win. You will come out victorious from this eclipse. This is definitely going to be an interesting time for you, especially after the lunar eclipse. And that is not too far away from this solar eclipse. But just realize that the wishes will come true for you if you apply yourself and you put yourself in a positive vibration. Scorpio, this eclipse will be happening in your 12th house. At this time, be careful with overspending. Be careful with going all out on credit cards, that type thing. You know, take care of your money at this time. Save, especially if you're trying to go overseas or do education overseas, that type thing. This will be an overall positive eclipse for you. You might be thinking about leaving behind a living situation. You know, a place you live, you may be trying to get very far from that. Now, when you leave a place you live, there's usually people you live with there. So it could be a relationship as well, or tied to the family, mother unit as well as father unit, that type thing. To take away from this is that Jupiter is retrograded in the 5th house from your moon sign and from your lagna here. So what's happening here is, you know, right now you're not seeing any sort of like benefic effect in that area of the learning. And it may feel like everything's kind of stuck for you, right? Or that you're getting the wrong type of support at this time. When Jupiter does go station and start moving forward in the 5th house, though, you know, that is the house of past life deeds. You're going to see some sort of benefic gain from your past life deeds. And that's where you'll see the support come in. Similar to Gemini, who's having the eclipse right in their 5th house, they are seeing some sort of like help during this turbulent time. Now, 12th house is the house of loss. So, you know, a lot of you may be dealing with some sort of loss, especially with relationships, that type thing. And, you know, Scorpio, you're an emotional sign. You're definitely one of the more fiery, watery signs. You know, Mars being your 1st house ruler. And what's happening there, I think you kind of need to kind of leave, you definitely have to leave ego at the door and realize that, you know, although that this eclipse is going to be easier for a water sign like yourself, just realize that you do kind of bring that fire energy of that Martian trying to create action through the emotions. So just be careful with that, because that may be creating some sort of loss. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this is in the Swati Nakshatra, and usually people with this planet in some sort of prominent place of their life where they're trying to see that thing that they want, usually don't get that thing. They've usually lost that thing, and they think too much about that loss. This would definitely be a time where you don't think about losses and you think more about how you can create something in your life and, you know, plan that out. Do that the Scorpio fashion of planning things out slowly and move towards it quickly once you can execute your plan. Let's pull 3 cards for you with the tarot to see how you navigate that. My upstairs neighbor has the heaviest feet. Like when they walk, they're literally stomping. Can you hear that? You had a card flip out, the Magician. I like that. That's an Aries card. The Moon. Oh, sorry, that's the Hermit, not the Moon. The Moon, the Hermit, the 4 of Pentacles. So yeah, this is definitely a transit. You know what people say, don't manifest during an eclipse? Actually, Scorpio. Well, in tropical astrology, it's in Scorpio, and they say that usually this is a bad time to manifest during a solar eclipse. I think with the Magician being a card of manifestation, you can manifest something that's been destroyed. So, I hate using the word destroy, but you can manifest the destruction of something, the loss of something, because it is in your 12th house. Manifesting the destruction of your ego, the destruction of your bad habit, whatever that is, you kind of need to really speculate or really internally dig in what that is. And that may be you holding on to energies that are no longer serving you. Internalize. Manifest the destruction of what you've been holding on to here that doesn't give you anything except losses. You're saying, no, I haven't lost it. I still have hope. It's going to come back to me. I'm telling you as a tarot card reader here, and as the astrologer, is you're having a loss of time. Because this is a Saturnian card. It's Earth. Saturn does very well in the Earth signs. What's happening here is you're holding on to that internal, it'll come back to me. It's got to be this way. Manifest the destruction of this. Because that's what this eclipse is going to do. It's going to destroy. K2 pulls us away from the things that we want most. And I think this is what needs to be destroyed so that you can bring in new energy, positive things into your life. When you manifest the destruction of whatever this is, the waste of time, that is when you will see the positive results of this eclipse. Sagittarius, this eclipse will be affecting your 11th house of gains. Doing this alone is going to be the key. Let's just get to the spoiler of your read. Doing this alone. Okay, so I want you to carry that in your mind because 4th and 11 are going to be impacted with a retrograded Saturn, your first house lord, Jupiter. Don't plan on things where you have business partners, social circles, because those things might take a turn for the worse. I'm not telling you you can't trust those people, but you can't trust those people during this time. K2 might pull us away from those things we want the very most. And there may be a friendship or something that's kind of ended here because K2 is pulling you away from that. And I know that sounds so terrible that you'd have to end a friendship or something like that. But, there's a spiritual lesson attached to that. And I think that understanding that you are everything that you need during this transit is the spiritual answer to that. Going at this alone is definitely going to give you some sort of great result towards the end of next year. So, for example, if you're planning on taking a sabbatical and going all over the world, China, Hong Kong, India, Thailand, Vietnam, Spain, Europe, France, and you just want to go all around the world, you realize you got to kind of do that on your own. And you can't be afraid to do that on your own. And you kind of can't count on people to say, yeah, I'm going to go with you, because they might pull out, because that may be too much for their plate. That's how you really navigate through this transit. When you're looking at that 11th house in the chart for you, that is definitely how it's going to impact you. It may not be the loss of a friend, but it's just the reliability or the how it's affecting them, how this eclipse is affecting that person, right? Because, we look at these planets, how they affect us on our exterior, but it's really what it's affecting us on the interior. So the interior is saying, you really got to trust at being home with yourself. As well as issues with mom, healing any type of issues with your mother is going to be very, very overall positive. Taking your mom out to, like, for example, for me, 4th house. I am a Sagittarius moon, by the way. So when this transit was happening, my mother's health was affected. I think when looking back on it, I enjoy those times where I was able to take her to the market. I was able to take her shopping and do things like that. You may want to take time with mom and do things. That would definitely give you some that'd be kind of like a remedial thing for you during this transit. So yeah, just don't plan things with business partners you don't have as well. Like things you don't have, don't plan with that. And although things may take a turn for the worse, just realize that keeping that mindset of you going it alone is going to be the best for the positive transformation for when Jupiter is going direct there for you, okay? All right, let's pull 3 cards for you, Sag. Let's see what we get for this transit. 8 of Swords, Justice, 5 of Wands, conflicts, competitions. 8 of Swords is also kind of like stuck in your head. And that makes sense because you're kind of you're kind of living your life the way you were living it 2 years ago with Saturn retrograded in Capricorn. Oh, God, no. But yeah, I mean, yeah, topics from 2 years ago might be coming up, especially topics with the mom, right? That may be coming up. And I had a not so fortunate event happen with my mom 2 years ago as well. Now I don't have mom, but that type of stuff. I'm not, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying your mom's going to pass away or anything like that. Don't take it like that. Just that it was her time, right? But yeah, mother was definitely a concern for me during this transit. So, it's definitely getting out of your mind and realizing that making balance, because this is a Libra card and you do have this transformation happening in the sign of Libra for you. It's about cutting the things that are not balanced and realizing that you have to do it alone, because the things that are showing up that are balanced are actually the things that are feeding poison into your bloodstream here. And those things cause conflicts. And that's my cat scratching at the litter box. He's really loud when he's doing that. I'm sorry if it's coming out on the mic. Anyways, but these things cause conflicts with your social circles. And that's funny because this is a card of social circles with the 5 of Wands. There's more than one person there. You're going to have to guide this by cutting off whatever that's there for you in the 11th house. And you'll know what that is because it's causing you some sort of mental problem where you feel like a prisoner. And I know a lot of the Sag moons, you definitely feel like a prisoner of your mind in the last 2 years. And now with Saturn moving forward into Aquarius, that where the blockage is now becomes unblocked. Capricorn, this eclipse will be happening in your 10th house. This is the career resetting your whole life. And this is you stressing out, especially if you're in India, you're stressing out about those career exams, those things like that. Maybe if you're doing internships, you're not getting the best deal out of it. I think overworking at this time is also going to be a bad thing for you because, what K2 does is it pulls you away from those things, right? It's going to pull you away from career. But if you're a workaholic and K2 is trying to pull you away from that, this may not be the best or easiest transit for you. Don't overload yourself with career at this time. Especially for Capricorn moon, Saturn is right over your moon as well. So there are going to be fears and anxieties. And it's directly related to something that will happen with your career situation in spring of next year. So, Saturn is redesigning things in your life as well, too. when it's almost done there, and it's going to move on into Aquarius, especially if you're Capricorn moon dealing with the Sadi, right? Oh yeah. But realize this is resetting your life in so many positive ways. Saturn is not your enemy during Sadi. If you got the silver ring in your middle finger, take that thing off. That is not going to do anything for you. As soon as you take off that silver ring, by the way, things may get rough for you. Who cares? Things may go wild. Things may get better. Who knows? To me, putting on the silver ring, all that Saturn does to you when you have that metal ring on your finger, the iron ring, is he's doing this to you. Okay? So, for this Sadi transit, you got to allow this to reset things. And K2 is going to pull you away from a situation. It may seem destructive more than it seems constructive. But I think you will be able to come out on top of this transit if you put yourself in that higher vibration and you realize that, you have to do what you got to do. And I'm not telling you to quit a job. I'm not telling you to go find a new career. I am telling you to try your best, but at the same time, make personal time during this transit for yourself. Let's pull 3 cards from the tarot to see how you navigate through this, how your mind is going to navigate through this transit. Ten of Pentacles, 10th house issues, 4th house issues, 4 of Chalices, and the Hierophant. Yeah, this is definitely about the seeds you're trying to plant. And, you're not seeing any sort of results here about these seeds that you're planting here. In fact, it's like, are you even connecting to your emotions? Are there people that are trying to connect to you, but you're trying to, just focus on career things right now as well? Relationships may be affected for you, or maybe you're just not meeting mature partners as well. I don't know why relationships are coming out with career, but some of us that focus too much on career might lose the opportunity out on our free time, our enjoyment, our joy. And the Hierophant is talking about, something that you planted your seeds in. So if it's an internship that you just started, that's going to bear overall really nice fruit for you towards the end of next year. You got to keep going with it, though. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Saturn isn't going to build your career. Saturn will not build your empire in a day. In fact, it's the slowest moving planet, right? Well, we're in Vedic, so Saturn's the last stop. But, aside from Neptune, Uranus, right? And Pluto, Saturn is the slowest planet here in Taurus. And Saturn does well in Taurus because it's slow moving, just like Saturn. So realize that this is going to be an overall sluggish time, and it's going to be stuck with matters of career, but there is enjoyment and there is rewards to be gained with 10 of Pentacles. And with 10 of Pentacles, it's interesting because there's a family there. So some of you may have a family that you need to pay attention to. Let me get that in focus for you, right? Focusing on you, giving yourself time to breathe during this eclipse and not focusing on what you don't have. Because focusing on what you don't have, that's what K2 is going to pull you away from in the 10th house. And this is also about the karma, the 10th house. So if you're focusing on the things you don't have, guess what K2 is doing there? It's pulling you away from that. Aquarius, this eclipse will be happening in your 9th house. Especially if your moon in Aquarius, you are in Sadi. You'll be influenced to do something about relationships, school, work. Don't allow people, outside influences, to influence you. I know especially parents, things like that are going to be in your ear all about relationships, your school, your work. Don't allow these influences. Especially astrologer, tarot card reader, don't allow them to influence you. This is your decision alone because this is your Sadi. Next year, Saturn will be over your moon, so try to make the right decisions. Because if you make the wrong decision, you're going to instantly regret it. And I'm not saying that, you will make the wrong decision. I feel like a majority of you, especially if you're watching this and you're connecting to spirituality, that beautiful spirituality, you're going to make the right decision. Now, my Sadi, because I was a Sag moon, I made the wrong decision. Am I paying for it now? Heavily. Is my life in any way disturbed? No, I'm moving on, and life is showing me the spiritual path. And most people, they slip up on Sadi. We're all human. And I think Aquarius, what this transit is trying to show you, it's a spiritual side. It is the ninth house, and it's trying to show you that, it's trying to give you that Jupiter guru teaching as well, right? It's trying to give you that ninth house vibe of, the learning, the spirituality, that's all real. Try to connect to that. Try to really put yourself in a positive vibration when you're going into your Sadi, and it's not going to be so bad. How this eclipse, though, is going to affect it, though, is that, you're going to have a lot of outside influences. And when Jupiter is at its strongest, what happens is, it can be somebody that's really showing and trying to impose their way, their spirituality in your life. And I don't think you should listen to outside sources. I think this is a time for you to listen to your inside voice, your inside mind. And if your mind is disturbed at this time and you're not able to think straight, it's time to get strong, and it's try to really do something about your mind there, so that you can move forward with your decision making here. All right? So try to make the right decisions here. And I feel like the Aquarius, you will make the right decisions, because you do, especially like I said, watching this, you do connect to spirituality, so you will make the right, positive, vibrating decisions. 3 cards for the Aquarius: the Emperor, 5 of Chalices, Page of Pentacles. Yeah, look, I said decision time, and if anyone's making decisions, it's the Emperor. The Emperor is all about making decisions and sticking to it. For some of you, the Emperor is also kind of like a father influence. You may have a father influence or a teacher that is trying to influence and impact the way that you think for you to let go of something. The problem is, though, when this 5 of Chalices person is letting go, they really don't want to let go. They're focused on what they're letting go of. And what is the Swati Nakshatra with Ketu teaching us is that you have to let go of it. Or you have to let go of what people are imposing on your mind. And for the last card, Page of Pentacles, it's going to be a learning process, but it's just the beginning, and you're loyal to yourself and you're loyal to your decision making. And you may have to do that alone. Similar to what Sag is going through, they have to do things on their own. So, think about that. That when you make that decision, although it's the page, it's very loyal to you, who you are, and moving forward. And it's with that Ace of Coins that he's holding, that portal. You're creating that portal in your life. Because you will see the rewards from this transit moving on into your Sadi. Pisces, this eclipse will be happening in your 8th house. 8th house from your moon, you'll have to be careful with multiple areas of your life. Although this is, a negative way, I feel like Jupiter being in your 1st house is going to kind of absorb those negative vibes for you in this transit. So just be aware that there are going to be ups and downs with this transit, and how that affects you in what area, because I feel like it's overall kind of crapshoot randomness with the 8th house, right? So you may have to relearn something, you may have to lose something completely, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel for you, as well as any type of person coming back into your life at this time is definitely a karmic thing, and it's not a bad thing if it's karmic and they're showing up and they're giving you something, or they're trying to reestablish reconciliation, that type thing. It's just some unfinished business that needs to happen. Whether you choose to take that or lose that, that should be up to you on how you decide you're going to do that. If it's going to be an overall positive influence for you, or if it's going to be an overall negative influence for you. I think you have to decide how that's going to affect you. But there's definitely end of fighting. There's end of problems, or there's an ending to this, whatever this is. This is definitely some like Doctor Strange 2, the Doctor Strange 2 movie. I forgot the name of it, but this is definitely the reality that you wanted to create maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Oh yeah, as back as 4 or 5 years ago, that reality you were trying to create, it's kind of like in your face now. And it's giving you that result. But are you going to take that though? And for some of you, it's going to be about ending that, for closing the door. And this is about K2, so it's about taking us further away from that. Especially for relationships. Because if you want to look at the results of the relationship, you don't look at the 7th, you look at the 8th. You're only going to get that on my channel. Let's pull 3 cards. For you Pisces, let's pull 3 cards for how you navigate this transit. Nine of Chalices, Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Wands. Yeah, you know, when I see these cards, I was thinking spring. So spring of next year, whatever it is, the wish fulfillment that you had, you may have to revisit these topics. And the things that were causing kind of chaos, ups and downs in your life, you're going to notice that those things we're doing, they were just giving you endurance. And 8th house, when I want to look at endurance, I look at 8th house. This is definitely endurance, because we look at the 9 of Chalices, the wishes coming true, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Ace of Wands. And how we look at that is the endurance that this tavern keep had gives them the ability to relax. And then I forgot what this was, the Wheel of Fortune, right? Jupiter. Jupiter, I said, is kind of like, you know, giving you not the benefic effect, but it's protecting you. It's definitely blocking out or absorbing that negativity there in your 1st house for you, how this impacts you. And I don't think you need to be afraid of this transit so much as an embracing of the letting go and confronting the things that are showing up from your past. Definitely. And Ace of Wands. Some of you are going to have new beginnings here with the Ace of Wands, because like I said, this is where you start getting results for relationships specifically for you. You know, you are going to start to see results come in for you. So you're going to see the results of something that may be kind of short-lived for some of you, or something long-term, you know. But either than that, something is definitely going to start here for you. And realize that most of the negativity will be absorbed by Jupiter, Guru. And just a side note, if something kind of comes back around to you, because when I look at the Wheel of Fortune, let me just pull the Wheel of Fortune here and I'll show you that card. If something kind of comes back around your way, something that was kind of like you wanted to end it and it's ended, you know, I have a feeling that it's going to kind of resurface again for you. And it's going to make you feel a certain way. And if it's a fight, I feel like that fight, whatever this is, it's the ending of that. And this is definitely the ending of those karmas attached to whatever this is. And this is definitely brought to you by your Lord Jupiter, Guru.